What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Alpha Bravo podcast, where we talk everything real estate. Whether you're a complete newbie or you have some experience, we're going to share some tips and stories that help you succeed. I'm your host, Eric.
And I'm your host, Freddie.
And today we have a very special guest. He's a good friend of ours. He's a leader in the real estate community here in Charlotte, North Carolina. He does a ton of deals all across all across the country. But I want to welcome to the podcast our friend Jarrett Jackson.
Let's go, Jarrett.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for coming by, my guy.
Hey, happy to be here.
Yes, sir.
Love these conversations.
Yes, sir. We actually were just at one of your meetups last night.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a Christmas, holiday themed, where we had a lot of different leaders in the community there, there with yourself also. And so just for the people that don't know you,
Sure.
What are you kind of doing right now? What's your role, in the real estate world? Just kind of give us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Yeah,
that way.
Absolutely. Last night was a lot of fun. So I
It
appreciate
was.
you guys showing up.
Yeah.
What a collaboration that was too, right? Like you got, CLT buyers, you got REI Connect, you got Pints and Properties, you got,
You
all
got the
of them,
big
right?
players, yeah. And that goes to saying like competition is collaboration over competition.
1,000%.
Right.
Yesterday was a lot of people there. Like if you was to walk into that meeting, if you wanted to do a deal, you could have walked out with a deal.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
You could have found off-market properties.
Yeah.
You could have found a realtor, a contractor, private money, you name it. You could. It was a great event.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. I know we're going to get into kind of like the meetup stuff as well, and we'll cover that. But yeah, a little bit about what we're doing here is I didn't know anything about real estate. There's the funny part. I knew nothing about real estate until like May of 2022, right? I think it was 2022. I knew nothing. I mean, the only house I had purchased was like the house I've lived in. Knew nothing about it. And a buddy of mine comes to me and says, "Hey, have you ever heard of wholesaling?" He's actually a friend of mine that I worked with in my W-2, coming from a medical device job, right? I said, "No, I have no idea." He said, "All right, go check out these podcasts." I think he gave me like Wholesale Hotline. He gave me some with Jamil Damji and Brent Daniels and Pace Morby and stuff. And he said, "Let's talk in like a week and let's see what your thoughts are on it." And I said, "Okay, cool." It wasn't a week later; it was a day later because I had burned through some podcasts. And I'm like, "Dude, I can do this. I can totally do this." I'm coming from a sales background, anyways, right? So, what's calling over the phone and doing this? I can do it in person.
Right.
I'm talking to doctors and anesthesiologists and pulmonologists.
So you were a
every
medical
day.
sales rep before,
Yeah,
is that
medical
right?
device rep.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So traveling a lot of windshield time. So
Okay.
listening to a lot of podcasts. Once I figured out I could do this, I'm like, man, I'm on the road a lot. We're gonna just dive into this. And so I guess it was like May or so of 2022, and decided quickly I needed some help. Like I was doing all this YouTube University podcast listening, and then I realized, hey, I need some help with this, and I got a mentor. And I started out as an astro flipping student with Jamil Damji. I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I get into this with a low barrier of entry, right? Like I don't have a lot of money to spend in marketing. I don't really know what I'm doing yet. And Jamil's whole thing was like on-market wholesale. That was a big thing for him. Or JVs. It was either JVs or on-market wholesaling. I didn't get into the JV piece of it as much as I did the on-market, and that was like the eye-opener for me. I will say I quickly found another mentor. So that was in, I would say, August of 2022. I went to an event at the end of August. I think it was like August 28th or something. I went to an event in Milwaukee with the guy that had told me about wholesaling to begin with, right? Brent out of Nashville, good friend of mine. And we'll get into that a little later too, if you guys want to, about what we're doing today. But we both went to this event in Milwaukee called Hustle Harder. You had Eric Klein there. You had Justin Colby there. You had,
Big players in there.
all of them, man. Like you had the Godfather there.
Yeah.
You had them you had them all there in this one room, and you got to listen to them all speak. And there was a couple people that I really resonated with, and one of them being Justin Colby. You guys have met him a couple times. He's been to Charlotte a few times, spoken at my meetup, be here in January actually, so we're excited to have him back.
Nice.
But yeah, I met Justin Colby there, just a true, authentic guy, and I just resonate with him. I mean, from his shoes, because he likes Jordans like I do.
He's a sneakerhead.
He's got the game, man. He's got the shoe game for sure.
Yeah.
But like, it was just one of those moments. Like, I knew immediately that this is a guy I want to get close to. A month later, I joined his mentorship, not just his basic level up mentorship, which is fantastic for anybody getting into the game, but I decided to go all in. That's how much I believed in it. I did the one-on-one mentorship with him, which totally grateful for. I would not change a thing because one thing I realized is I always knew I wanted to get into real estate in some form or fashion. I didn't know it was going to be wholesaling. I wanted to buy rentals. I wanted to do different things. But once I realized what wholesaling was, I also realized that I didn't just want to do that. Like I wanted to be dynamic. And Justin brought that piece. It wasn't just about wholesaling. It's really what we like to say is like, let the property dictate the exit strategy.
Right.
And if we keep that in the back of our mind, we can have a better idea. Again, what do we want to do with this property? Is it telling me to buy it myself? Is it telling me I just need to wholesale this? Is it telling me, we're going to put a renter here, we're going to burr this, whatever it is, right? And so just being very dynamic is one of the big things with Justin. And I've had a lot of mentors in my 2.5 years of doing this, right? I think you can never stop learning enough. But
100%.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of how I got my start.
I like let's park right there because there's a lot to unpack in there.
Yeah.
And I like the part that you as somebody new that was gonna get into real estate, you didn't go after the deal first. You went after the knowledge.
Yeah.
That's like unheard of, right? Because if you start real estate shit, I want to make money right now. I want to make money right now. Let me go after this deal and start creating stuff. But you took a different route, more like a tactical route. Is that because of your sales background? You knew what's the plan was, or
I'll tell you what. You're a family man. You have kids. I had a W-2. I was secure with that, right? So I didn't have to. I didn't have that. And I know it's not everybody's circumstance. I didn't have to feel like I was rushed to get a deal. And so having that little bit of a security blanket was one of those things. I'm like, okay, I can take my time. I can do this the right way. I can learn. But that was a detriment in the same regard because I got a lot of analysis paralysis. I almost had too much.
I almost feel like you didn't. Like every time we checked in with it, I'm doing this. I'm like next 2 months, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
It's like I've never seen like Jarrett analysis paralysis.
From the outside looking in, like I would have never guessed that. Just because I know. So Freddie actually went to your very first meetup.
Yeah, no, OG.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I just went. I don't even know like where he saw it or whatever, but he went to your very first meetup.
I don't know where he saw it either.
He called me, invited me.
It was. And
I do remember that.
He called me, invited me.
What was just wild was like, you were just getting into the wholesaling.
I hadn't done a deal yet.
Hadn't even done a deal yet,
No.
but yet you had the balls to say, I'm just going to start a real estate meetup,
Yeah.
And there's already a lot of real estate meetups in Charlotte. So I mean, it's not like there's a lot of people to compete with. So, but you just did it, right?
Yeah.
And then fast forward a year and a half later, you have one of the biggest meetups in Charlotte, right? So like, so you say you had analysis paralysis, yet you took massive action and started a meetup, and now you're doing, who knows how many deals a month. Like walk us through, I guess, like what was your mindset through starting up the meetup and everything, and walk us through that.
Yeah, I get that question a lot actually. Like, where did this come from? There's all these other meetups. I get it. At the time, I had such a thirst for knowledge and a thirst for relationships because I'm very relationship based. I think we talked about this earlier. Like, I think every transaction, everything you do starts with a relationship. Right. And I knew that I needed to be in an atmosphere where newbie wholesalers like myself or newbie investors like myself could bump shoulders, rub elbows, shake hands with people that are doing it at a high level. And they need to be in the same room. And I knew that if I felt this way of not really feeling welcome to a certain community in Charlotte because I was the new guy, I didn't know anything, that others had to feel the same way. Right. And so that's what originally sparked it, right? Like, it wasn't until later that I met people like Ed Pugh and Michael with CLT Buyers. Had I known about their event at the time, this probably would have never even happened. So it was a blessing, I think, that I didn't meet them till later. Great friends of ours, friends. I mean, of all of ours, right?
Yeah.
I think y'all had Ed on here recently. So, had I known about their meetup, I probably never would have started it. But in the moment, my mindset was, if I can't find it, I'll create it. And it started with just an idea. Ran it by Justin because Justin was my mentor at that time. I just told him, I said, look, I'm going to create a meetup. And one of Justin's things is what we call CIA, credibility, influence, and authority. Justin's big on that, right? Like, you see him all over the place, and he has all those things, right? And so he coaches that. And I thought, you know what? I can create CIA, credibility, influence, and authority by starting a meetup, I can create the atmosphere that I felt our market was lacking. And I just did it. I told my wife, I said, I'm going to go check out a few venues. I'm just going to roll with it. It doesn't matter if I have 5 people or 500 people. I was working with Cash Money Mike as one of his students as well, learning the creative finance side. And I said, hey, I got this idea in my head. Like, what do you think about it? And he said, do you need a speaker? I said, speaker. Okay, so a meetup's not just people meeting. I need a speaker. I'm like, yeah. He said, you want to provide value? I said, you're right. Yeah, it doesn't need to just be shaking hands and networking. It needs to be like, there needs to be an educational piece behind this. That's how, this really is going to be successful.
Right.
And he said, I will absolutely do it. I would love to be a part of it. And so we'd spend a month like just kind of marketing on Facebook. I joined every Facebook group that I could find. I went to other like coffee and whatever it is, the real estate group down in South Charlotte, and met a lot of people there and introduced myself and said, hey, I've got an event tonight, would love to have you. And got my hand slapped for that by the person that put that one on. But
trying to recruit people.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was trying to say there.
And the thing is, like, you're the new kid in the block, so you don't know the rules. Like,
Yeah.
shit, I don't know.
It's like, my bad.
A CLT buyers meetup, and like, I don't know if these guys in this meetup. But
Right. So it's just funny. And then, we did it at a small brewery on the west side of town. And, you show up and we have like, 25 people?
Yeah.
I mean, I was so excited that first night. We got 25 people. Again, it didn't really matter how much, but the fact that I just marketed this a few weeks ago, nobody knows who I am. I didn't know who I was in real estate yet. And 25 people showed up and we got such good feedback. Like, people were like, we love this. Like, we had seasoned investors like Alan DeWitt in there the first meetup. Cash Money Mike is an incredible seller finance. I don't want to call him a guru because he doesn't want to be called a guru, but an educator in the space is what he'll say.
He has a tons of information.
He has a ton of information. He's fantastic. So, but yeah, that's kind of how it got started. And then from there, it just started growing. The next month we had 35 people. And then the next month we had 45 people. And then eventually we had to find like a new venue. I was like, man, this is growing pretty rapidly. And then we brought on like Trey last year to help boost this thing. And we went from like 50 to 60 people to 70 to 80 people. And then, then Eric comes on board, and this just continues to grow. And our biggest thing is, again, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter if there's 5 or 500 people in there. We want to provide value.
100%. You had any expectations before starting the meetup? Like, this is my expectations. Zero expectations.
Zero. Like I said, I didn't care if there was 2 or 200, 500, doesn't matter. I just knew that I wanted to create something, and I felt like if I didn't, I would have regret. Regardless of what happened.
Yeah.
Do it. If it's an epic fail, then it's a lesson, right? We talked about this earlier. Like, we don't have losses, we have lessons. And for me, it was just taking a shot, see what happened. And I'm so happy that I did, because it's, for me, allowed me to meet people like you guys, right? Like, and just so many great entrepreneurs, so many great investors. I've learned so much from you guys. I've learned so much from all the people that we've met there. So it's just been a fun journey. And I mean, we're going on year 3.
Nice.
Yeah, this will be year 3 of the meetup. So
yeah, I mean, you were definitely utilizing your network to the maximum. Like, you've already said a couple names already that are big names, and I mean, so talk a little bit about some of the masterminds or groups that you're in and the value they provide. And I know that each of them kind of serve a different role, and how that's affected your business as well.
For sure. Like I said, Astro was the first community that I was a part of. Great community. It's a big community, right? Like, there's so many Astro students. And that's the people I reached out to when I first started the meetup. I was like, hey, I'm starting this, and a lot of them came because there's a lot of local Astro students and sub 2. But then Justin's community taught me, again, being dynamic. Justin taught me how to be a dynamic investor, not just
and that one's Science of Flipping,
the Science
right?
of Flipping, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Science of Flipping. And that is a relationship that, like, Justin's not just my mentor anymore. We're friends. He truly cares about my success, but beyond my success, my family and all the things. So that has just been a game changer for me, that relationship, and definitely the one I've taken the most from. And then we've got like Naaman Taylor, who taught us novations and on-market cash. And then we've got Willie Numbers that is teaching us the reverse flip. And really what that boils down to is those really sticky deals that before we didn't know what to do with. Now we have an exit for it. Now we know how to handle those. So to your point, Eric, it's like Astro taught me how to really run comps. I will tell you, Jamil Damji is the best at running comps. I learned my comping from him. So I'll take that from that and working on market wholesaling, which has been our bread and butter.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done so many deals.
Are you still doing
Oh,
market?
yeah. We've done over $400,000 in assignment fees in Charlotte this year.
On market.
On market.
Nice.
On market deals.
On market.
400K.
Wow.
Let's go.
How much is that in marketing?
$0. Yeah.
So if people say they can't find deals on market, don't listen to them.
Right.
They're not trying hard enough or don't know how to negotiate. But so, yeah, that's what I take away from like the Astro community. And Justin's big on that too, right? Like for a newbie that wants to get into it but doesn't have it, just like what my situation was, he's going to push you towards doing on market, building relationships with agents. So yeah, Justin dynamic, whether I want to buy it myself, flip it, wholesale it, whatever, Justin is the guy for kind of everything. And then who else we got? We talked Willie Numbers, and then Naaman Taylor again on the Novation piece. We got Cash Money Mike on the, so it's all these tools that we bring together. That we're not trying to be. If you go back to the mindset of letting the property dictate the exit strategy, if you don't know the different exits and how to implement it, then you can't really do that.
Right.
And so that's what I've taken away from each of these is a little bit. I'm not trying to be an expert in all of them, but if I go back to having relationships, I'm one call away from getting an answer because I have that network now. I've met these people, and we've got the team behind us that know who to call because my team now has a relationship with those guys, and so it just allows us to really, again, I hate to say it again, but being dynamic.
Yeah, no, that's adapt and overcome. We had that saying in the Marine Corps a lot. You have to adapt and overcome. So especially in real estate, we speak about this a lot. There's a lot of seasons. For example, right now, we're in the winter season. There's not a lot of houses are moving. There's a few, but not like July. So what do? We switch our plan. We go focus heavy on our SOPs and want to make sure we're ready for January starting. So we just got to adapt and overcome. It seems like you did a great job by just adapting, going through training from comps all the way to flipping, all the way to reverse flipping. Seems like a well-rounded player to me. It's like you just went to each school, I don't know, each Pokemon school, and you got your badge from each of them. And now you're a great investor because you learned these tools from these people that have done it before you. And I think that's, as a new investor, that's when you lack of. Like you just go on YouTube and find whoever's the more influential, whoever who has the most followers. But when you actually start digging to see who you connect with, like your mentor looking after your family, asking questions, or just raising their hand to help you get there, that's when you got to start looking, okay, so this mentor provides this, so let me go with them and start listening to what they got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a testament because, I mean, you basically started your real estate journey in 2022. It's 2024 now, so give or take, let's say 2 years. And you've come so far in 2 years that most people it just sped up your learning time and sped up your time to actually be able to do this business by investing in those different communities and those people that you've learned from. Whereas I'm on year 5 now, but I didn't really invest a lot in other meetups, stuff like that. I was always, I don't know, like ego driven. Was I can do this myself, because I was listening to Bigger Pockets. I was on YouTube.
Entrepreneur mindset. I mean, we all have that.
Yeah, I was like, I can do it all by myself. But looking back on it, it's stunning my growth some because I didn't take advantage. Because I had a W-2 job, and I easily could have said, you know what, let me invest in this mastermind, or let me invest in this course, and let me just see, because I'm starting at zero, right? Whenever you're first starting, you're starting at zero. So if you're lucky enough to maybe have some money to invest in these things, it's well worth it because you're on year 2, outpacing so many people that have been in this business for 5-10 years, all because you invested in the right people, the right resources to grow you and grow your business. Because it's not just the real estate mindset; it's also your physical mindset and things as well, right?
1,000%.
Yeah.
I mean, you're investing in yourself, right? At the end of the day. Y'all know this about me. I was finally able to leave the W-2 after a year and a half of kind of doing both.
Right.
And that's all because of the relationships, all because of the mentorships, because that's what helped me get to that point, that I could overtake my income that I had, and it's a medical device rep. I wasn't not making. I was making decent money.
Right.
So to take that over, I really had to figure a lot of things out, and you kind of pay to skip the line a little bit because you're paying for these mentorships. You're learning from them on all the mistakes that they've made, so you don't make them, right? And so that was a huge piece of this for me. And now, we're starting to see the fruits of that labor. We left the W-2 last October. We're just over a year now. We're seeing a lot of growth. In fact, kind of going full circle here, the guy that actually got me into wholesaling to begin with, Brent, who also worked in the same W-2 as me. We're both medical device. That's how we first met. We both started separate wholesale businesses. And, now we're merging. Now we're taking two successful wholesale companies and bringing it to one, where we're really going to be hitting hard on the dispo side of things, and JV partnerships, but also with direct to seller. And we're going to take that model that we have of on market wholesaling and go to other markets and replicate it, because we're doing that volume here in Charlotte, with just one acquisitions person, focusing on that. What can we do if we take this to other markets that are expanding and seeing a lot of growth? Like, there's no reason we can't replicate it.
100%.
So we're really, really bullish in 2025. We're really excited about 2025. This merger was one of those things that Brent's out of Nashville, so he's got that market on lock. We've always felt this in the back of our head, back of our mind, that we're gonna join forces at some point. But I think we were both kind of stubborn at first. We want to see how far we could go by ourselves.
Going your side quest
going,
first.
Going on our own adventures. And I'm so glad that we did that and not join forces to begin with, because we both learned so much separately. And now we're taking two totally different experiences, both successful experiences, but both a lot of lessons that we both learned, right? And being able to bring that together is exciting. Like, I could not be more excited about what 2025 has to offer, and the team that we have. You guys know Barrett and how great he is. Barrett working on dispo. Barrett's not only just dispo, but he's also a business partner on another piece. Like, Barrett is my business partner with Bull Capital Group, that is our buy and hold and building company, like development company. Sorry, on a blank there. Development company, right? Like, Barrett is that person that you can trust, that is extremely knowledgeable. You guys have spoken to Barrett. Like, that guy, his brain doesn't stop, and he's just, his mind operates differently, and it is so awesome to see. So we have the right people in place. We're expanding. We're hiring another person today.
How big is your team right now?
Right now we have Barrett on dispo. Like, he's the director of dispo. We have a VA underneath him out of the Philippines, Angela, who's amazing. We have an acquisitions manager out of Nashville coming from Brent's team. And then we are hiring a follow-up specialist today. We've got 3. We had 6 interviews yesterday. We've narrowed it down to 3. And so we're actually letting the team decide. Like, Brent and I are stepping aside. We did the initial interviews. We pulled it down to 3. And now, like, the team is interviewing them, because we have such a team mentality. We want to make sure everybody's excited to be here. Everybody has opinions heard. So we want to make sure we bring the right person in, and we want them to be the person that ultimately decides that. I feel like we know who they're going to pick, but we're going to stay hands off from this point. But that's what we're not just creating a business and merging. We're creating a culture. I mean, to tell you how excited we are, we didn't care about even naming it. We're just operating under our separate right now. Like, we just want to get to work. We just are so excited about what we can do together. That it's the small things like naming a company just haven't even crossed our mind yet.
That is so dope. Does that remind you about something?
Dude, that's literally our origin story. Like, literally, we're just like, we just want to make some money. We don't care what it's called.
Right.
And so we literally, we told a story before about how Alpha Bravo came about. Like, we really were just like, it could be called 123 LLC. It's like, we just need to start doing something and get moving, and then we can figure that out later on. Because in the beginning, it doesn't matter no one cares about your company name and all that stuff. Do you have all your a cool logo or anything like that. It's like, no.
I mean, I'm all about swag. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love some swag.
For sure.
You know, I know you guys do. I see your shirts.
For sure. But starting out, that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is, okay, how are we going to make this profitable?
Yeah.
You know, how are we going to make money? Like, if
Putting the pieces together.
it doesn't matter how much, you know, it doesn't matter how cool your logo is or what, you know, or
Not
anything.
at first, at least.
Not
Yeah.
at first. If you're not making any money, like, it's, you know what I mean? So,
You're not going to have a company to have swag for. If
Exactly.
You don't put your priorities, you know.
so
in the right order.
dude, you, I love that what you just said right there. And that was going to lead me into, you know, it sounds like 2025, you have these big plans.
Yeah.
I wanted to go a little deeper into the dispo process and everything, because you now own what's the name of your domain?
nationwidedispo.com.
nationwidedispo.com. And so
It's a
that
work in progress.
Pretty strong keyword searches in that,
Yeah.
that domain.
yeah.
Oh, we're excited about it.
So-
I bought that domain for like $2. I ain't kidding.
I think you can do a really good job of marketing and branding that to where, because I know in the wholesaling business, and this is coming from experience, like most people, I mean, you have to start off with your acquisitions because you have to bring blood and you have to bring some type of revenue into the business or any kind of business in the beginning. And so we invested, I mean, basically our first 2 years of our business were like, let's hone in on acquisitions. Let's get really, really good at this. And that way we're bringing in deals, right? We got to a point to where we got that more streamlined, but now we're more bottlenecked on the dispo side. And so we've had to go back and revamp our SOPs. Freddie is revamped SOPs, 3-4 times now. We've went through, we've had to hire on dispo manager as well to help out with Freddie, because we spend all the time and the resources on acquisitions, but now dispo is our bottleneck. So it's like, okay, let's really invest a lot of time and effort into this. So talk about, for any other wholesalers, investors out there that are maybe in that same boat where it's like, hey, like I can get deals, but I can't find, it's like buyers, for me, I don't have a huge buyers list or whatever, or I don't have access to like Investor Lift or any of these huge platforms. How does your, how does your business come into play there?
Yeah. Well, let me start with, you don't need the big tools.
Right.
You don't need Investor Lift. You don't need, you need Zillow, or I like a software called Privy, and it's like $99 a month, right? Like I do a lot of things on Privy, but you can find buyers easy. Like buyers are not hard to find. We can teach you that, and like I would love to JV with anybody and everybody, but more importantly, like I want to show you how to do it too. Like, so if anybody needs help with that, like I'd love to have our team just show you, hey, this is how we quickly can find some buyers for you to call, right? We can help you build your buyers list and get you started in 10 minutes. Like that's how fast we can help you build your buyers list. Now, people may not want to focus on that, and that's the people we want to help. You know, that's the people we want to JV with, because they have, what they want to do. They want to do acquisitions, and they don't want to dispo. Great, perfect. Use us, nationwidedispo.com. Fill out the job form. It's a very simple process. The website's being revamped right now. It's just a job form, so bear with us a little bit. But in the next couple of weeks, it should be a very a nice looking website landing page for people to look into and check us out. But we are excited about that opportunity. We do have the tools, right? We do have the highest form of Investor Lift. We have, there's another great software that we've learned about recently. And I don't know if you guys have heard about Investor Base.
Investor Base?
Check out Investor Base. New wholesalers out there want a cheaper option for dispo your deals, go to Investor Base. It's going to give you the information of the buyers. It's already skip traced. It's like you're going to get scores. It's a really great tool. Had a meeting with them, this past week. I need to get an affiliate code with them, actually. That's
right.
what I should be
100%
doing.
We're plugging them.
I'm going to call them. Y'all hear that? Investor Base. I'm plugging you right now.
Hey, yeah.
So, but there's so many tools out there that aren't the Investor Lift $60,000 a year, right?
Right.
We put a lot of money into that, but it is a great tool as well.
Right.
But we see an opportunity with nationwidedispo.com, right? Like, you guys spend a lot of money on marketing. I spend a lot of money on marketing. I was spending $10,000 a month. We've dropped that down a little bit because we reallocated some funds to do different things.
Right.
But not everybody can spend $10,000 in marketing. But we decided, hey, let's let other people spend their money marketing. And when they need help dispoing, we're here. Now, the cool thing about nationwidedispo.com for us is we get to choose who we work with, because you're going to fill out the form. we're going to give you the warm and fuzzies, which is great. You're going to say, you're going to fill out all the detailed information. You're going to put the photos in there. You're going to do this. The next step goes through an approval process. And that's where I get it, Barrett gets it, and we actually go ahead and underwrite the deal there. Because we want to make sure that we're working with people that have deals.
Have a deal, yeah.
Yeah, because what we found ourselves doing, even with some of our own deals, is they'd get put into what we call the murder zone. The deals in the murder zone. That's a Naaman Taylor quote right there. And this is what he calls the murder zone, or those deals that just, they're very, very thin margins. The likelihood of them, actually closing out are thin. We want to stay away from those. Because it's a waste of time, effort, and energy for me. It's a waste of time, effort, and energy for my team. That's a bottleneck that we wanted to get rid of. And so now that it gives us a little more control of the deal, right? When you're JVing with people, it's hard to have control of a deal. Yeah, it's really hard. And so this kind of alleviates that for us. It also takes away the time that we're spending on the phone with the JV partners, trying to get all these questions answered. We have everything on the job form for you. And then we underwrite it. And if it looks like a good deal that we feel like we can move, you'll get an email with an approval, or you'll get an email with a denial with a reason why. Hey, we don't think this is a deal at $100,000. If you can get it down to 75, resubmit. We'd love to work with you.
That's good, because even that feedback alone helps that wholesaler, because coming from experience being acquisitions, I've locked up deals too high before. And it's not until I go to Freddie and Freddie's dispo in it that he's like, hey man, like, hey, I know we have it locked up at 100,000, but our highest offer is 90. Like, is there any way we can go back and renegotiate? Yeah. And so knowing that, that gives me some leverage to then try to go back to the seller and say, hey, like, unfortunately, due to X, Y, and Z, this is where we really need to be at.
1,000%.
And so just that feedback alone helps so much, because that's helped me as an acquisition manager go in and revamp how I'm running my comps and running my deals to where you're like, okay, I know 2 out of the 4 last deals that I submitted were locked up too high. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong?
Yeah, it's a learning opportunity.
There's a constant communication between acquisition and disposition team. Like it's a constant communication. We all have to be at the same page.
Right.
Looking at what we're looking at. Okay, I'm trying to get 10K extra, while you go trying to renegotiate with the seller and come up our spread that way.
Well, at the end of the day, I know that if I give you that feedback and you go and execute on it, you're going to come back to me for the buyer.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm really saving myself time, but also, creating an opportunity for us to be successful together again.
Yes. Right.
You're providing value. That feedback alone, bro, is a lot, because somebody that's just starting acquiring property, I have a deal. Not until they see the message from Jarrett. You locked it up too high. And like, oh, okay, well, I wouldn't have known that unless Jarrett would have told me that.
Right.
So you provide value with that. You coaching these guys. This is pretty cool, pretty dope.
I love that, man. And we'll cut it off there for today. I know you're a busy man. You got stuff to do. But for anyone that wants to connect with you, where can they find you at?
Absolutely. I'm on all socials, but Jarrett Jackson REI is my Instagram handle. That's probably where you're going to find me the easiest and get a quicker response from me, to be honest with you. So Jarrett Jackson, JARRETT. I always like to clarify that, because I don't even say my own name right, so I want to make sure that I'm spelling it for you guys.
Right.
But yeah, man, appreciate you guys having me on. Ton of fun. We could chat it up all day.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to have you back on. I mean, you're providing a lot of knowledge. I mean, you're just a genuine dude. We love hanging out with you. We love your meetups and everything. So I love collaborating with you.
Absolutely.
So
action taker. Like when I see Jarrett's in my phone, action taker. Dude. I'm promising it's not just because you came to the podcast. But I always tell Eric, he's an action taker, man.
Yeah.
I remember you called me, cold called me. I was a new agent. I was like, hey, I'm having a meetup for new investors. I'm like, I'm new too. Shit, exactly. If you can find it, you invented it. So appreciate that for you. You provide tons of value here in the Charlotte community. With the meetups, we also been able to meet a lot of buyers there. Our property manager we met there too. For
contractors. I mean, you name it.
That, man. You literally just gave me the chills. Literally, I mean, I can't even make it up. You gave me the chills just knowing that like what we've done has been effective. And because that's the whole goal, right? Like we just, again, we want to provide value. And the slogan that Eric and I came up with for the meetup is, further together. Y'all hear me say it at the end of the meetup every month. I will never not say it. We go further together than we ever will apart.
I love that. I love that. Well, Jarrett, thank you again for coming on the podcast. We're excited for 2025 and everything you have planned. And until next time, man.
See you guys.
Alpha Bravo out.